Hey, welcome back guys. In this video, we will learn how to make our first API request using Postman. So let's get started. So if you created a fresh new account, you will see a screen similar to this. So here there are three main sections that we need to talk about. So the left one over here is the sidebar. So in the sidebar, you will have access to your history, where you will see all your old API requests. You will have access to collections, where all the new collections that you created will show up here. And then all the APIs that you have created will show in this API tab over here. And then there's this header section. So in the header, it basically allows you to create and import request and collections. And you can access that collection runner over here. You can also move and invite collaborators to the workspaces and access the interception as well as these account related settings here. And then in the center area is where you build and work with your request. So this is where we will be actually making our API request and see the response from that request. And at the bottom, you have your status bar where you can do some quick other things such as find and replace, open up the console, also access the bootcamp provided by Postman, as well as check out, build and browse all the other APIs. So that's pretty much the overview of how Postman is laid out. Now there are a lot more other options and features that are provided over here, which we will one by one look into it as we move on to our other videos. Now let's take a look at how we can send our first request. So for that, we will be using a test website, and the one we will be using is called JSON placeholder. So JSON placeholder allows us to make fake online REST API calls. But this is just for mainly like testing and prototyping purposes. So this is a really good one that we can use. So the first API call that we'll be making is basically this call, which is todo/1. So this is our URL over here. And then when we hit the run script here, this will give us this response. Now, this is basically what we will try to do using Postman and see how it works. So what I'm going to do is copy this URL and then head back over to Postman. Now I will click on this plus button over here, which will open up the screen for me. Now here, the key thing is to notice this get over here, which is actually saying this is the get method we will be making a call to. Now, just as a quick refresher for folks that are new to API and API testing. So each API request uses an HTTP method, and the most common ones are get, post, put, and delete. Now get method allows you to retrieve data from an API. Post allows you to send new data to an API. And put and patch basically allows you to update existing data, and delete removes an existing data. Now there are a couple other ones over here too, which we won't be focusing on. So I'm going to paste the URL that we copied from there. And simply I will just click this send button over here. Now there you go. We got our response back, and this response is exactly the same that we got in our browser. So there's a few things to notice here. Obviously we have this JSON response, and you can actually see it says JSON. And then they have different ways to actually view that response. So this is basically raw option, preview option, but most likely you will be working with the pretty option over here. And then another key thing to focus on is the status. Now the status here is 200 OK. What that means is we made an API call and we got a 200 OK response back. So this number and as well as the OK status is something that you will see that will keep changing based on different types of API requests we make and the kind of response we get back from the server. So in this sense, everything went OK, so it's showing us 200 OK. And then we have some other key metrics, which is our time and the size of the actual API response. So this is all good if you want to really deep dive into how all of these things work. So working with get request is pretty straightforward. We basically make a call to the get URL over here, which will give us the response, and we get the data back. Now there are different ways to actually make a get call. So for example, over here, we are making a get call to the todo/1. That means we're getting this one resource back. And by resource, I mean this data back that we're getting back from the server. I can also remove one and say that, hey, I want to get a call to all the to-dos that are available. And if I hit send, so there you go. This time I got a lot more data back. So this is basically all the to-dos data that we got back from the server. And if I just scroll down, I believe there's almost around 200 of them. Yep, there you go. There's total 200 of these to-dos. And same thing, our status remains the same, 200 OK. But this time, obviously, the size increased because we're getting way too many data back. Now let's take a look at how we can create a data. We just saw how to get the data, but we will also take a look at how we can create data using the post method. So to do that, I will click on this arrow button here and simply change this to post. And for the post, I can use the same thing by using the /todos, and I will hit send. And let's see what happens. So when I do that, we actually got 201 status back. That means created. So it created a new to do for me. But in this time, all it did was created a new ID with the ID or number 201. So that means total, if you notice before it was 200, it created a new one and we got this 201 ID back. But we don't really have any other data here. So whenever you're working with post, you will actually need to send some data to the server. So in this scenario, we will send back, let's say for to do, we will send our title back, as well as we will send whether it's completed or not completed. So for that, we can actually go to body over here. And in my body, I have different options. So I have obviously none. That means don't really send anything, which we did. And we hit send. We didn't really send anything with our request. But then I also have option, which is form data, X like form URL encoded. And then we have raw and binary as well as GraphQL. So for form data, if I click there, it takes in a key value pair. And you can specify the content type you are sending. So for example, I can send like a random key. So I can just say text here and then send that over here too. And then I also have option to send in, let's say, a file, for example. So if I click on this arrow here, I can send in a file along with my body request. So that is obviously an option. So let's say if you're working with where you need to upload an image or a PDF, you can do that. You can select a file and you can upload that file over here. So we won't be doing that right now. So I'm going to click cross here to delete that. For URL form encoded. So this is basically the same as sending the encoding as the URL parameters. So if your API, let's say it requires URL encoded data, you can send that through this URL encoded option over here. Now this will take in the same key value pair to send the request, and then the Postman will encode them before sending. And then you have option to send the raw data. So most likely you will work with this raw data here, and then raw have some other options that you can take a look at here. So you can send in raw text, raw JavaScript, JSON, HTML or XML. So in this scenario, we want to send JSON data back. So I'm going to select JSON. And then we have option for binary. Binary is also pretty much same if you want to send in something that Postman cannot handle. So let's say sending your image, audio, video files, or you can also send text files through basically binary here. And then GraphQL is if you want to send in your GraphQL query, you can use GraphQL. So we will not be covering that right now. So what I will do is switch back to raw, and I'm going to send in some JSON data to our server. So to send JSON data, I'm going to put it in a JSON format. If you notice over here, so we have two squiggly brackets and this quote, and then the actual key value pair. So I'm going to do open up the squiggly brackets here, and then I want to send my title. So I'm going to name my title, let's say Learn API Testing. And I will do a comma to add in another key over here. So this time I'm going to say completed, and I will just do false. Like we are still learning API testing, so I'm going to put false over here. And I'm going to hit send. So there you go. This time when I hit send, instead of just getting an ID back, I'm also getting title as well as completed. So our title is exactly what we sent over here, as well as completed false. And our status code is also 201 created. That means we successfully created this resource that we just sent out. Now let's say if you end up making a mistake while you are sending this data, you will gonna get a different status code back. So if I remove this comma over here, first of all, Postman will tell you, hey, something went wrong here. It was expecting a comma. So that's pretty nice. If you make any error over here, Postman itself will tell you that something went wrong. But let's say even after that, you ignored this and you hit send. From the server, this time we got a 500 server error back. So 500 is basically, it's a generic error message that you get when there's no specific message that is being sent by the server. So this time server says, hey, I don't really know what's going on. Something went wrong. And obviously in the response back, you can see there's a syntax error with the actual when they were trying to pass the JSON. So this is nice. So this way you can see different kind of status code back. So we have seen 200, 201, and this one is 500. So I'm going to put this comma back here. If I hit send, everything will still be okay. There you go, all good. So you can use post to actually create data. So we can create, let's say for to-dos or users or post. So anytime when you see some data creation has been happening, most likely they're using post method behind that. Now another one we're going to look at now, which also takes in body data, is our put. So put also basically takes the data and that you need to send in, but instead of creating a data, it will allow you to update the data. So for put, I'm not obviously going to be sending it to all the to-dos because I don't want to update everything. Instead, I just want to update one single resource. So I'm going to do to-dos /1. So before that, what I'm going to do is do a get request on this, and I'm going to hit send. So this actually gave me this, right? So we have our user ID, title, completed, true or false. So I will actually change this. I will change the completed to true to say, okay, this to-do has been completed. So for that, I will go back to put. And here I'm going to remove the title because I don't want to change the title. And completed, I will send this to true. And if I hit send. Okay, so after hitting send, if you notice, it actually deleted all my other information. So this is another thing that you will see this depending on how the API has actually been implemented. So in this scenario, with your put request, you need to send in all the data that it was expecting before. So which was all the data that we were sending, which for our get request, when we did that, we had some other information here, such as our user ID and title. But instead, when I sent it just completed, it only took the mandatory ID, it kept it there. Everything else, it replaced it by the data that we sent over here. So this is not good, right? Let's say if you want to just send in this particular thing, which is completed true. So you will see this behavior different from each API to API. Some API you can just send in this way and it will not replace the other one. It will keep those. But in this scenario, it actually replaced it. So obviously to work around this, what we can do is I will do a get on this again. I will copy this whole thing and paste it here. And if I go back to my put, and I will simply change this time to true. Now if I hit send, there you go. This time we have all our data back and the completed is actually true. So this is how you can actually change the status of something. So from either true to false, or maybe update some other key value pair using put request. Now the last one we will focus on is delete. Now delete is really straightforward, and you probably might have already guessed it. It actually deletes a resource. Now delete doesn't really take any body. I can hit send and it will still work, but it would just ignore this body. So let me show you how this works. If I hit send, there you go. We got this empty response back. That means there's nothing there. And then we got a status 200. Okay. So what it did is basically deleted a to do. Now I can obviously go back here and actually do a call to this. This would still work, but most likely when you're working with real APIs. So this one is just a fake API. So it's not actually deleting it. It's just actually just showing me that it has deleted. But in most like scenario, which when we will be working with the real APIs, when you will go there and hit back to send over here, it will give you a 404 error. Now I can actually show you how this would work. For example, if I put something else, let's say 202, and if I hit send, it will give me this 404 not found. That means that is actually not there in the database anymore. So let's say we created something and we deleted it. When we will hit send, we will get a 404 not found error back. So this was a short introduction on how you can send API requests using Postman. We will deep dive into more how Postman helps with API testing later on in our videos. So before we wrap up, another thing I want to show you guys is the different status code. So far we have seen 200, 201, 500, and 404. So there are different status code you will see every time you're making an API request. So I just want to show you all the list options that are available. So over here, I'm actually on this Mozilla document, and I will add the link in the description below so that you can go in and access this directly. And there are different types of responses that we get back. So we have informational responses, which is 100 to 199. So this is the series basically from 100 to 199. Then we have successful responses, which is from 200 to 299. This is the one we saw already. And then we have redirects. So anytime you're redirecting from one website to another, you will see this redirect come in play, which is from 300 series. And then from the 400 series is mostly an error. So anything something went wrong, you will see from 400 to 499. And the server error, which we saw already, is 500 to 599. And if I scroll down, there's going to be way too many. So we have already seen 200. Okay. We have seen 201 created, and there's some nice description on how this works. And if I keep scrolling down, we have the redirect messages for 300 and then the 400 one. So these are really important because when something went wrong, we need to know what happened. So 400 bad request is that means server could not understand the request. So maybe that was, let's say, an invalid syntax. For this example, it might give me 400 back. And this all depends on how your API is actually handling this error messages. So maybe instead of sending, let's say 400, your API might end up not handle that request or not handle that error, and instead just send you a generic 500 back. And you will see this a lot in a lot of websites where they're not handling their error messages proper. So instead of giving you proper, let's say 400 or 401 or maybe, I don't know, 403, they will just give you 500 back. So this is pretty confusing. Ideally, when you're creating your APIs, you would want to have proper error messages so that you know exactly what went wrong. So 404 we already looked at. We have 405, that means the method is not allowed. So maybe if you're trying to make, let's say, a post request on something where it's not even allowed. So let's say a post request on todo/1, we might get a 405. That means that method is not allowed. We can only make a get call on that. So if I scroll down, I have way too many other 400 calls that you can see. And then we have our server messages that we looked at. So that's pretty much it. So it's really important for you guys to understand how this different status code work and how it actually, when you get something back, you understand whether that's a successful response or whether that's an error messages or whether something went wrong in the server. So make sure to check this document out and get a basic understanding of how this works. So if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you have the means, you can also support me through Buy Me a Coffee website. I will add the link in the description below for that. That's it for this video, guys. I will see you in the next one.